Inside Building Products, a Siemens podcast that keeps you learning.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we take complex stuff, cut through all the noise, and really try to give you the key insights you need. Today, we're diving into something that's, well, literally all around us. The buildings we live and work in. Now, you might think of a building as just, bricks and mortar, a static thing. But what if it could actually have a kind of digital brain? What if it could learn, adapt, maybe even anticipate what you need? Think about this for a second. Buildings use a massive amount of energy globally. And they're often pretty inefficient, which means huge running costs. And honestly, sometimes they're just not great spaces for the people inside. We're talking a really significant chunk of global energy use here. So the big question for us today for this deep dive is, how do we make these places smarter, more sustainable, and just, better places to actually be? How do we give a building that intelligence?
That's exactly the challenge, yeah. And often, the heart of the problem is something surprisingly common. It's fragmented information. Imagine a building generating all this incredibly valuable data, right? About heating, cooling, lighting, security, even how many people are in a room at any given moment.
Yeah.
But this data, it's trapped. It's basically stuck in different systems that can't talk to each other. Like different departments in a company that just refuse to share vital information.
Oh, that departments analogy is perfect. Yeah, I can picture that. And that's really where our mission for this deep dive kicks in. We're going to explore something called Building X, not just as like a specific product, but more as a really good example of how this cutting edge digital tech is changing the whole built environment, like right now. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding how we're actually giving buildings that digital brain and, unlocking what they can really do.
And what's fascinating here is just the sheer scale of it all, the problem, but also the opportunity. Buildings are huge energy consumers globally. And here's the really crucial bit. Most of the cost tied to a building isn't in the construction itself. It's spread out over its entire operational life, which can be decades. And historically, that whole operational phase has been largely, undigitized. This lack of digital oversight leads to massive inefficiencies everywhere, energy waste, maintenance nightmares, safety issues, even just making it less comfortable for people.
Right. So it's not just an energy issue. It's a massive data problem, too. Buildings are generating mountains of this information, construction specs, real-time performance stuff, occupancy data, KPIs. But like you said, it's all stuck in these silos. To really get it, maybe imagine trying to run a big cruise ship. You've got the captain, the engineer, the chef, the entertainment director, but they all have their own separate radios. They can't talk to each other. No one really knows what the others are doing or what resources they're using. You just couldn't run that ship well, could you? Not efficiently, not safely. You can't optimize for energy or comfort or security if the systems doing those things aren't sharing info and working together.
Precisely. That's a great analogy. And buildings have really evolved quite a bit. We started with pretty basic buildings relying on traditional local solutions, often installed on site. Then things got a bit more automated, maybe with some remote services creeping in. But where we are now, or heading, is towards truly intelligent buildings. They're increasingly connected to the cloud. The real game changer is creating this shared data environment. Think of it as giving everyone on that cruise ship finally a single unified communication system, a central source of truth. And this shift enables really powerful stuff like predictive analytics, figuring out what might happen before it does, and these things called digital building twins. Of course, as you digitize more and more, the cybersecurity becomes absolutely critical. You're connecting systems that were never designed to be connected before. The end goal, the direction things are moving, is towards what some call autonomous buildings. Spaces that can adapt themselves, aim for climate neutrality, maybe offer everything as a service to users, all driven by AI.
And it's not just the tech evolving, right? The people involved are changing too. The circle of stakeholders, the people who care about how a building runs, is getting much wider. It's not just the building engineers or facility managers anymore. Now you've got IT managers dealing with huge networks, solution providers, investors looking for green, sustainable assets. And building owners often needing to manage massive portfolios, maybe across different countries, really efficiently. Building X, as we'll see, needs to serve all these different groups.
Okay, so if that's the problem, all this valuable data locked away, leading to inefficiency, nobody having the full picture, how do you actually start to fix that? How do you make the information useful? This is exactly where Building X comes in, right?
Exactly. Building X is essentially a comprehensive suite of digital platform services specifically designed to tackle those challenges.
So how does it actually break down those silos you mentioned? Well, it does it by connecting to pretty much all the different kinds of systems you find in a building, and sometimes even beyond the building itself. We're talking operational technology, the OT systems. That's your physical controls like HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, lighting controls, that sort of thing. But it also connects to the information technology systems, the IT side. Things like occupancy sensors, security cameras, access control systems, maybe even room booking software. And it doesn't stop there. It can integrate with other cloud services that a building or company might be using. The whole point, really, is to pull all that separate data together into one unified, clear view, like giving everyone on that cruise ship the same real-time dashboard to look at.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Once you've connected all that data, Building X creates this thing called a digital building twin. Can you unpack that a bit? What is that exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine it as a living, breathing, constantly updated digital replica of the physical building. Think of it like a super detailed virtual copy. It collects real-time data from every sensor, every system, basically every corner of the actual building.
So it's like having a perfect virtual model that knows everything happening in the real one, like right now.
Exactly, a dynamic model. And the real magic happens when you combine this digital twin with AI-driven analytics.
Right, the AI part. What does that unlock?
That's where the optimization comes in. This virtual model, powered by AI, gives you incredible insights into how the building is performing, its sustainability metrics, everything. You can analyze what's happening now, predict future needs, like when a piece of equipment might fail, and even control the physical building based on insights from its digital counterpart. So for instance, you could run simulations on the digital twin, test out different ventilation strategies to see the impact on air quality or energy use before you actually change anything in the real building. Or, like I said, predict equipment failure based on its real-time digital heartbeat. Schedule maintenance proactively instead of waiting for something to break down.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
It is. And a core strength here is its approach.
Yeah.
It's holistic, but it's also an open platform. This isn't some closed proprietary system that locks you in. Building X lets users connect, digitize, explore, and optimize their buildings all from one single central entry point. We often call this the single pane of glass concept.
Single pane of glass, like that cruise ship dashboard again.
Exactly like that. Imagine the captain, the engineer, everyone important, looking at one master screen showing everything relevant to them: fuel, passenger locations, system status, with specific permissions for each role. It means you could potentially manage an entire international fleet of buildings, hundreds, maybe thousands, all from one interface, with really specific, granular user access rights. It gives you that complete overview and control that just wasn't possible before.
And that single pane of glass, it's not just a nice feature, it actually makes the whole process of getting buildings onto the system, the onboarding, much more efficient.
Yes, significantly, which means it actually becomes economically viable to integrate even very large fleets of buildings and all their data. It scales. And the applications themselves, the software tools within Building X, they're designed to be modular and user-centric. The idea is to deliver the right data to the right person for the right task. It's very workflow-oriented, not just a dump of raw data.
So it adapts to what you actually need to do.
Precisely. It's not a rigid, one-size-fits-all system. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, a lot of Building X's power comes from its underlying architecture, what we sometimes call its ontology.
Ontology. Okay, that sounds a bit technical. What does that mean in simple terms?
Think of it like the master blueprint, or maybe even the Rosetta Stone, for all the different data languages spoken within a building. Without it, your heating system might spit one technical language, your security cameras another. The ontology is what translates between them, allows them to understand each other, making that smart coordination possible. It's the foundation, the set of rules for how all the parts interact intelligently.
Got it. Like a universal translator for building data.
Kinda, yeah. And we could break down how Building X uses this into three main themes, just for clarity. First is connectivity. This is all about how Building X safely, flexibly, and scalably connects to all those different data sources we mentioned earlier. Product data from devices, system data from fire alarms or security, even infrastructure data like energy grids. It uses specialized hardware and software gateways to gather all that raw info.
Okay, so step one, gather all the data.
Right. Then, step two is digitalization and the open platform. This is where those data silos really get smashed. Building X takes all that raw data from maybe thousands of different points and harmonizes it. It puts it into a common data model based on that ontology, that standardized language. This common model is the core of your digital twin, that living virtual replica.
It's the unifying structure, the backbone that makes all the data usable together for applications and insights.
And you mentioned it's an open platform.
Crucially, yes, it has what's called an API portfolio. Now, APIs are just standardized ways for different software programs to talk to each other. Think of them like universal connection points, or maybe standard plugs and sockets.
Okay, like a standard way for things to connect and exchange information.
Exactly. And because it's open with these APIs, Building X is incredibly future-proof. It can be easily extended. New services, new applications can be added, whether they're developed by Siemens, by partners, or even by the building owner themselves. This allows for really seamless user experiences and opens up huge possibilities for third-party innovation.
Right, so it's not a closed box. It can grow and adapt.
Correct. And that brings us to the third theme, applications. These are the actual tools, the software modules that deliver the real business value, the tangible results. Building X comes with several natively integrated applications. For example, there's the Energy Manager, helps you track and optimize energy use, not just showing usage, but helping understand why and how to save more. Then there's an Operations Manager for handling the day-to-day running, streamlining tasks from maintenance jobs to booking rooms. A 360-degree viewer gives you that visual, interactive, digital overview of your building. And the Security Manager helps unify things like access control and surveillance.
So tools for specific jobs.
Yes. But importantly, because the platform is open, new custom applications can be built right on top of it. Maybe by third parties, maybe by Siemens, maybe by the customer. Think of specialized solutions for hospitals to manage medical gear, or for universities to optimize classroom use. It allows for really specific value generation tailored to unique needs.
Okay, so just to kind of pull those 3 points together. Building X acts as the central data hub for the whole building. It gives transparency across different areas, actively breaks down those data silos. And because it's platform-based and open, it allows for future growth and new ideas, all while trying to keep the user experience smooth and practical.
That's a great summary. It provides that foundation.
So what's one of the biggest headaches that this kind of architecture, especially the open platform part, helps building owners actually get past?
That's a really good question. Historically, one of the biggest headaches has been vendor lock-in. You buy a system from company A, and you're basically stuck with their technology, their upgrades, their roadmap, forever, even if something better comes along from someone else. An open platform with a rich API portfolio fundamentally changes that dynamic. It gives building owners real flexibility, real choice. It means their investment is much more future-proof because they can integrate new solutions, new technologies as they emerge, or as their own needs change. They're not tied to a single provider for everything.
That makes a lot of sense. Freedom to choose the best tools. So let's bring it back down to earth. What does this all mean for you, the listener? The person working in an office, or maybe the business owner managing properties? It means real, tangible results, right, for customers, and hopefully better experiences for everyone inside the buildings.
Absolutely. Building X is really aimed at accelerating efforts to make buildings climate neutral, pushing those sustainability goals forward much faster. That's a huge one. It's also focused on significantly improving the user experience. Think comfort, how easy it is to use the space, just general well-being inside the building. And, of course, it's about dramatically optimizing the building's performance and operations, making things run more efficiently, saving costs.
And underpinning all of that, I guess, especially when you're connecting so much stuff, has to be security.
Oh, absolutely central. Cybersecurity is paramount. Protecting all that data, ensuring the integrity of these critical building systems. It's not an afterthought. It has to be built in from the ground up. And it is, within the Building X framework.
Okay, so let's try and picture this in action. Imagine, say, an office building where the air conditioning isn't just running on a timer. Instead, it adjusts itself automatically in real time based on how many people are actually in each room, what the weather forecast is, maybe even learned preferences over time, all predicted and managed by AI through this system.
Exactly. Or think about a hospital. Maybe it can predict when a vital piece of medical equipment, like an MRI machine, might need maintenance before it actually breaks down. Based on continuously monitoring its performance data via the digital twin using predictive analytics. That means fewer unexpected downtimes, potentially better patient care, and avoiding costly emergency repairs.
That's the kind of real-world impact we're talking about, making buildings not just smart in a technical sense, but truly responsive, anticipatory, and just fundamentally more efficient and effective.
Precisely.
So beyond just saving energy or predicting when a pump might fail, what's maybe a less obvious or even surprising insight or benefit that a truly integrated smart building system like Building X could offer?
That's a fantastic question. Most people focus on the immediate operational efficiencies, which are significant. But think bigger. Think about urban resilience. Imagine if a city had digital twins of all its critical buildings and infrastructure, all connected and sharing relevant data through platforms like this. Now imagine a major event, say an earthquake or a flood. Authorities could potentially get an almost instant, real-time assessment of damage across the city. They could predict structural integrity issues in key buildings, direct emergency services with incredible precision based on actual conditions, not just guesswork.
Wow. Okay. That's a whole other level. Using building data for citywide emergency response.
It's leveraging that unified data for a much broader, potentially life-saving impact. It goes way beyond just optimizing one building's HVAC system.
Okay, so to kind of wrap things up, Building X is essentially connecting the physical building with its digital counterpart. Taking that, often chaotic stream of data from a building and turning it into useful, actionable intelligence. The goal is boosting sustainability, making the experience better for people inside, and improving performance all through this holistic, data-driven, and importantly, open approach.
Exactly. And maybe this raises an important question for you, the listener, to think about. As buildings become more and more self-aware, more adaptive through platforms like Building X, how might that fundamentally change our relationship with the spaces where we live and work and learn? Will our buildings become, in a sense, more like intelligent partners, anticipating our needs, optimizing for our well-being in ways we probably can't even fully imagine today?
That is a fascinating thought to leave everyone with. Maybe the next time you walk into a building, you'll look at it a little differently. Knowing there might be the sophisticated digital twin working behind the scenes, learning, adapting, making that space smarter, more comfortable, and more sustainable for all of us. Thanks for diving deep with us today.